photographs, and this is from the 50s. Emotional reactions to what you see. Why we have the youngest customers in the business. Nothing does it like 7-Up. Coca-Cola was not to be outdone. For a better start in life, start cola earlier. How soon is too soon? And here's Santa Claus urging you to give cigarettes, Lucky Strikes, to your friends for Christmas. And there's a doctor who, in the small print, it says he works hard and you can trust him. And more doctors smoke Camels than any other cigarette. It's pretty close to a recommendation, isn't it? And don't worry, darling, you did burn the beer. At least you can drink Schlitz when your wife can't even cook. Oh, and down at the bottom, you mean a woman can open up a bottle of ketchup? Wow, how did they get so smart? So you think that in the past, oh my God, people were living in a trance. They were brainwashed. I mean, here you're giving poisons to your friends for Christmas. Doctors recommending that you ingest something in your lungs that causes lung cancer. Women are demeaned. There's no sense of emancipation of women at all. It's they're giving sugar water. This has over 10 teaspoons of sugar to a little 4-month-old baby. And you think, my God, those people were crazy. Well, the purpose of today's talk is a controversial idea. We are just as much in a trance and hypnotized by the media as the generation of our parents and grandparents who watched those Mad Men commercials. Things are not any better for us. We are not more liberated and more aware of the world. We're just as much victimized by it. So this talk comes from a book I wrote called Duped: Delusion, Denial, and the End of the American Dream. Now, all the references for this talk are in that book, so I'm not going to give you references here. But let's talk about some statistics about our current lives. Kids spend currently 45 hours per week in screen time. That means TV, internet, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. That's a lot of time. The average American now spends 9 hours per day using the media. 50% of American children from 8 to 18 report that the TV is on in their home constantly. So we are really glued to, some people say outside of sleep, work, that's the majority of what we do, screen time. We're glued to our screens. So the question is, are we getting dumber? For example, over 90% of fourth graders could not identify a photograph of Abraham Lincoln. Not too impressive. 75% of 17-year-olds could not identify who was the head of Germany in World War II. 30% of high school students did not know how long it took the Earth to orbit the sun. Half of you fourth graders did not know the meaning of the word puzzle. So you can say, well, the media is really dumbing people down and we're getting less and less educated. But I'd like to give you a contrary position, okay? 75% of 17-year-olds knew what city was in the zip code 90210. Well, that's pretty good. That's pretty smart, isn't it? They know what city that zip code is in. Now, they know that because there was a television program called 90210. But 96% of American school children can identify Ronald McDonald. It's as if we're living in a playhouse, which is the media-created fantasy world that we spend 9 hours a day doing. And we know everything about that playhouse. We know who Kim Kardashian is, but we don't know who Scott Carpenter is.
Good morning, bro.
We've substituted our fantasy reality for real reality, if you want to put it that way. So I'm not so sure we are dumbing down as much as the fact that we are living increasingly in the trance without knowing it. So the propaganda tools that we're going to talk about that keep us in this fog. Reframing, repeated affirmations, vicarious and imitative learning, distraction and denial, classical and operant conditioning. So get ready, because we're now engaged in the process of media literacy, which means we're pulling off the veil of propaganda and clearing out the fog and starting to see what's really going on with the mass media and us and our consciousness. I'm going to start with the easiest one first, reframing, okay? In 1984, George Orwell writes a book called 1984. And there's a whole propaganda ministry in his fictional book that writes propaganda and that rewrites, makes bad things sound good, makes garbage smell like perfume with the right language. And the language was called Newspeak. Okay? So here, and it's basically reframing, putting nice words on bad things. George Bush was not the greatest environmental president of American history. He cut gasoline mileage requirements. He cut rules and regulations on diesel emissions. He weakened rules protecting rivers from pollution. He allowed more nitrogen oxide, mercury, and sulfur dioxide in the atmosphere. So if we went to a guy and said, how do you feel about more sulfur dioxide in the atmosphere? Guy on the street says, well, I don't think that's very good. I think isn't that called smog? Well, what do you think about more mercury in the atmosphere? Well, I think that's bad for your brain, isn't it? I don't think I support that. Okay, so what is the name for the legislation that George Bush introduced that weakened all of these regulations? Well, here comes Newspeak. It was called the Clear Skies Act and the Clean Water Act. Really? Really? Well, how do you feel about the Clear Skies Act? Oh, I think I like clear skies. I would support that. How do you feel about the Clean Water Act? I'm definitely in favor of clean water, absolutely. Okay, so that's reframing for you. It gets worse. In the last 20 years, 55,000 American factories have closed, fired their workers, moved to China, to Vietnam, to Indonesia, to the Dominican Republic. They say that 6 million jobs were permanently lost due to this process. Chinese workers make our toys and make virtually everything sold in Walmart, and they get paid $3 an hour. In Bangladesh, women are making clothes that are sold in Target and JCPenney. They earn $36 a month. That's about 25 cents an hour for that shirt that you bought at JCPenney. Now, Detroit is a very good example of this process. We don't have a name for it yet. In Detroit, in 1960, Detroit was an incredibly vibrant city. They had 290,000 manufacturing jobs. Today, there are 27,000 manufacturers. 90% of the manufacturing jobs left Detroit. That's a picture of the General Motors building. Okay? Empty, windows broken. All right? But there's a brand new Ford factory. State-of-the-art, beautiful, makes 250,000 Ford Focuses every year. But guess where it's located? It's located in Hermosillo, Mexico. And they make 250,000 Fords there and send them to the United States duty-free. Detroiters don't like that. The average wage paid to those workers in that factory is $3 an hour. Now, I ask audiences, how many of you have ever worked for $3 an hour? Most everybody doesn't even raise their hand. Senior citizens will say, I once worked for $3 an hour in the 1950s. Well, this is 2013, and that's where Fords are made today. And the result is, it's not that General Motors was making gas guzzlers, partly true, but 90% of Detroit's good jobs left. And Detroit closed 50% of its schools, okay? It currently is in bankruptcy. That's a picture of a great, famous Detroit movie theater. Sinatra played there once. So what do you call this? Detroiters don't like what happened, okay? But this is the name given for this process. It's called globalization, and it's called free trade. So what do you think about globalization? Oh, I think I like globalization. That sounds modern. That sounds international. I think I support globalization. How do you feel about free trade? Oh, I'm in favor of free trade. I like anything that's free, you know? I think that's
What y'all boys talking about early in the damn morning?
And so, bad things are made to sound simple and nice with reframing. Here's a little video on this subject.
Put it, euphemistic language that conceals reality.
Poor people used to live in slums. Now the economically disadvantaged occupy substandard housing in the inner cities. And they're broke. They're broke. They don't have a negative cash flow position. They're broke.
And today, America's love affair with semantics has given birth to a new phrase to describe the rich.
Job creators in America basically are on strike. Increasing taxes on job creation. This administration and this president, policies are hostile to job creators.
Instead of just saying the wealthy who make over $250,000 a year, if you say job creator, then you say, well, we can't raise their taxes. They're the ones who create jobs. When in reality, when their taxes were higher under Bill Clinton, 3 times as many jobs were created.
The propensity to add softer terms to the English lexicon has surged over the decades, particularly when it comes to military-related language.
Damaging euphemisms, like when, instead of saying innocent civilians were killed in a drone, collateral damage sounds like a real estate transaction.
Allied soldiers shooting each other has become known as
Friendly fire.
kidnapping, and transferring a terrorist suspect is called
Extraordinary rendition.
and the torture America's war prisoners might endure is referred to as
Enhanced interrogation.
Now we're going to start propaganda technique number 2. And this sort of builds on itself, but I want to warn you about something. The purpose of propaganda is ultimately to make you feel better about something, about garbage, about killing, about whatever. So as we take off the veils of propaganda and become more media literate, we're starting to look at things that are a little harder to look at. This is really not an entertaining lecture. We're no pain.
Not the Voodoo Ranger.
As we become more conscious of the propaganda in our lives, we have to confront things that propaganda protects us from. Propaganda is kind of like a bandage, and we're pulling that bandage off. So fasten your seatbelt. Repeated affirmations is essentially this. I'm going to try to tell you that 2 + 2 is 5. And how am I going to convince you of that? Well, let's say I got Stephen Hawking.
Hey man, anything strong at 10 o'clock in the morning?
In a muffled tone, about the new mathematics, which allows 2 + 2 to be 5. And then I got a Nobel Prize winner who said, yes, there are conditions under which 2 + 2 can be 5. And then another speaker, and another speaker. And pretty soon it's repeated so much that you start to believe that maybe 2 + 2 is 5, or could be 5. That's what repeated affirmations is. Say the lie over authority figures, and it starts to be believed. Here's Joseph Goebbels, the propaganda minister of Nazi Germany. Propaganda must therefore always be essential and repetitious. It must confine itself to a few points and repeat them over and over. Okay, thank you, Mr. Goebbels.
Breakfast of Champions.
Bush said almost exactly the same thing. See, in my line of work, you got to keep.
I had cereal.
Over and over.
He having a beer.
To kind of catapult
saying we built that.
propaganda. Well, that's exactly
champion
what
strong
happened with Iraq. But before we talk about Iraq, I need to introduce a psychological term, a delusion. So, imagine there's a guy who has a cat, and he sees that his cat went over to his neighbor's house, and the neighbor is feeding his cat. He doesn't like that. He doesn't like his neighbor feeding the cat. He doesn't say anything, but it really makes him mad.
The drinker's drink.
And he thinks the neighbor is poisoning his cat. So after a couple
I'm a
of
smoker's
months,
smoker.
his cat dies. And he is very, very upset. And he believes that that guy, a delusion, by the way, is a false theory about the world, a false idea. Okay? So, he, like George wants to have this cat inspected for weapons of mass destruction. And he sends the cat off to a toxicologist for an autopsy. And it comes back, the cat died of natural causes. Sorry, no poisons, no toxins, no weapons of mass destruction. Then he's not satisfied. He goes for another autopsy and another inspection. The same result, nothing, sorry, no toxins. And he's still not happy, still doesn't believe it. And he finally gets himself so worked up, he walks over to the neighbor's house, confronts him, shoots him, and kills him. Okay? So that's a hypothetical example of a person who is mentally ill, who is suffering from a delusion.
I need some water up here.
Now, we have that under our belts. So let's now talk about repeated affirmations and the delusions that we had about Iraq. We had two major delusions. First delusion, first false idea, was that Saddam Hussein orchestrated or had some role in the 9/11 attacks on the World Trade Center. And the second delusion was that Saddam Hussein was developing nuclear weapons. Now, let's not talk about the second because we know that that's false, okay? But we'll talk about the first. The first lie is that Saddam Hussein had a connection with those 9/11 hijackers. Mohammed Atta, the Saudi kingpin of the 9/11 attacks, secretly met with an Iraqi intelligence official in Prague on April 9th, 2001. Oh, yes, he did. And that's the connecting point between 9/11 and Saddam Hussein and Iraq and why we had an invasion. The truth is that Mohammed Atta was in Sarasota, Florida. He was making calls on his cell phone on April 6th, April 9th, April 10th, April 11th. He used his ATM card in the United States on April 4th. He was never in Prague. He didn't meet with any intelligence official. But we're trying to say 2 + 2 is 5 here. And there's a great need to do that. So, Bush says, this, talking about Saddam Hussein, this is a man who's got connections to Al-Qaeda. He's a threat because he's dealing with Al-Qaeda. That's because they met in Prague, right? We're taking the fight to those who attacked us, said Bush. Well, did Saddam Hussein attack us? Did he have anything to do with Mohammed Atta and 9/11 hijackers? Taking the fight to those who attacked us? To Vice President Cheney, he did meet with a senior official of Iraqi intelligence in Czechoslovakia last April, several months before the attack. Czech police said no. The FBI said no. There's no evidence that that happened.
Can't try it.
Now, you want to keep repeating that and repeating that and repeating that.
I mean, this is an old video though, but this dude, this from like 2013. But I've watched a couple of his stuff on this right here is the Kennedy assassination. He talks about he has part 1 and part 2 to propaganda. He talks about extraterrestrial contact, Roswell, foil, and UFOs. He talks about a lot of different stuff, yo. Chaos, violence, war, barbarism, why humanity.
So, that wasn't just the extent of the propaganda. The big pinnacle was just before.
I think the JFK assassination was the first one I listened to.
Colin Powell spoke in front of the UN with a PowerPoint.
But then he started hitting you with all these facts about like this how the propaganda machine works, yo.
Crazy.
First of all, it should be noted that Colin Powell's speech in the United Nations was theater, a masterful theater, effective theater at the time. Here's a man who has tremendous credibility, who presents himself to the Security Council, to the American people, to the international public, and stares the camera in the eye and says he knows Iraq has weapons of mass destruction.
That was a blatant lie.
So, Powell, by the way, to this day says that was the lowest point in his political and military career, the moment that he is most embarrassed about. Okay, he feels that he was
That's what
by
Dr.
the CIA and
Dr.
by
Amos Wilson was talking about back then.
So,
Cause he is like, yeah,
America's
they're
war
gonna
propagandists
appoint.
spread the
They could
word.
appoint
It's
black
not
people to
Powell
high
and Bush,
offices. Cause
it's a
Colin
whole
Powell was
bunch of people, okay?
the
These
next
people
man behind the
who
president. The president, the head of the
day
army, and then Colin
after
Powell was
day
like right
after
underneath him as a
day
black man
telling
running all the
people
fucking
to
military.
get fired.
And what he do with his power, he still go over there and bomb brown people and cause all these fucking wars and all that shit, man. They just use him as a fucking war dog, as a lapdog, yo. Then he, after his career, they was like, oh, it was the lowest point of my career when they realized there wasn't weapons of mass destruction. They had him up there running that shit, and Condoleezza Rice, like two black people trying to make the war seem like it was a good thing, yo. Like that shit was killing me, yo. Motherfuckers pushed that whole goddamn war agenda on the Americans, and motherfuckers fell for that shit. Cause Colin Powell, oh man, fuck that dude, yo.
And proud of it.
They ain't gonna side with him just because he black.
As we succumbed, in effect, to repeated affirmations, these are the main figures that appear on American television, day after day after day, saying that Saddam Hussein had a relationship to Al-Qaeda, he had something to do with 9/11, he was making nuclear bombs and using weapons of mass destruction.
Lies. All
All
that shit was lies.
Now, if you look at the total number of times those folks were on TV, primetime TV, this is from the Vanderbilt Television Archive.
Yo, just the numbers right
We
here.
don't know
These
Richard
numbers
Pearl
hurt.
anymore, but he was on television 187 times. Okay? Pontificating about exactly these two delusions. Paul Wolfowitz, who has also disappeared from our consciousness, he was on 180 times. Bloodthirsty rhetoric about why we need to go and invade Iraq because they were developing weapons of mass destruction and they were aiding and abetting.
180 sometimes they put this message out.
Now there were two doves who hardly got any attention at all. One was Scott Ritter. He was an inspector.
Whoa.
And he said, there are no weapons of mass destruction, guys. We've inspected
Oh, no, the
and
guy's name was
inspected and
written in the
inspected. The cat died of
I'm gonna
natural
say, hold the
causes.
fuck up.
Okay? And Noam Chomsky. Look
Noam
at how
Chomsky.
this is over a 20-to-1 ratio between hawks and doves, all during this period leading up to the war. Now, here's the delusion that Iraq had something to do with 9/11. Right after 9/11, people were asked about Iraq, and only about 16% felt Saddam Hussein had anything to do with it. But with all of this propaganda coming out, Cheney and all those folks, about 28% believed that Iraq had something to do with it. 2 years after we invaded Iraq,
What about the dude from South Carolina, yo? Ain't y'all got the black dude down there now? He said the same thing, saying America isn't racist.
Are they speaking of like systemically, or are they speaking of like?
That's the point. Like you can't really go yay or nay with their comments unless you really have a whole conversation with them.
But whether you act systemically or just on a, we went around to 100 different people to see how many people are racist. Yeah, you still gonna find some. So like, you know what I'm saying? No matter how small you break it down, education, just in your neighborhoods, the police, like it's everywhere.
Well, Louder Crowder had the same. Changed my mind. He said America is a racist country. Changed my mind. America is not a racist country. And the thing is, I see it systemically. Yes, this is still very, very much a racist country. Yo. It's just like the system is still set up for white people to have it easier.
And Asians now.
And that's because their numbers are dwindling. It's just a fact that white people aren't reproducing as fast as other people, so they incorporate other ethnic groups with similar qualities into their numbers so that they can boost the number that they can put out for the population.
Like they did to the Irish. They was like, oh, we don't like y'all, but you know what? After these couple hundred years, We about to make y'all mix. We about to put y'all on our side real quick.
And that's why some Spanish people can classify as Caucasian. Some Middle Easterns and
as a child, or like not a child, but a younger kid, I never understood why they always specifically ask you about being Hispanic or Latino.
Are not white but not Hispanic. And then
I never got that.
People from the Middle East and Egypt and shit like that, they come over here. They're Caucasian, yeah.
Well, a lot of them are racist too, because I had to chill from Clubhouse before I really like snap on somebody and have to go find them. Like.
And then when some Asians mix, they'll categorize their kids as Caucasian. You know, if an Asian woman marries a white guy, their kids are just white.
Yeah. Which is weird because when you're mixed with black, all my life I've been told to identify as black. I've never been told I could identify as white.
But now, but as far as still being racist, I think so. Systemically, the institutions that run everything, the educational institution, the banking institution, our main governmental bodies, they were founded on these principles of white supremacy, and they permeate the system so deep that it's now a part of the subconscious of the white American, to the point
reason
where
why they lock their doors when a black man's walking on the street.
It's so ingrained in them that most white people don't think they're racist, but it's just that, oh, that's how I was raised and that's how things are, and just they operate within a racist system.
Just like it's a lot of black people that make excuses for the white people because they've been ingrained, and then like even like to bring the religion into it, like even if you believe in that shit, Jesus is supposed to have hair like wool, and y'all got this blue-eyed man with this straight-ass light hair and this pale-ass skin. Like, that's not even how he's described in y'all book. So it's like, it's right in your face and everything. And everything. Puff said, I can't wait to visit if y'all will still have me.
Oh my God, nigga, you not coming up here, bro. Stop it. Stop.
Stop the cap. Shaman said, what up, what up?
Yo.
I spent the day in White Utopia yesterday, a town of ex-Trump supporters. I was out of place. It was crazy.
Welcome to Scranton.
Oh yeah, Trump signs everywhere.
Welcome to Scranton.
And see, that's the thing, like, I'm going to say this. Just because you voted for Biden don't mean you're intelligent. Yeah. I'm not saying that to y'all. I'm just saying in general. But generally speaking, the Democrats do keep themselves together a little bit more. And I respect the Republicans for, like, making a scene and doing what they want, but, like, not for dumbass reasons. You know what I mean? So, like, it goes both ways. But most of the Trump supporters, 99% that I've met, have been really, really, really dumb people. Or racist. No one wore a mask.
Damn.
Puff said, I'll come solo, yo.
Why are you scared? You scared of people not wearing masks, man? It's all good, right?
I think it's just because, like, he's saying, like, white people can do whatever they want.
Come solo.
When we go sit down to eat, we take our mask off, but I'm always like, Travis, put your mask back on. Because we still got to walk through the restaurant, and I just don't want that smoke. Like, I will never tell nobody to comply or do whatever, but, like, when it just come to simple shit that's not going to cause a confrontation or argument over something that small, like, don't come back to our restaurant because you didn't wear a mask. Like, we like that restaurant. We go there all the time, so I'm going to just wear my mask. Even though I am over COVID. But white people, y'all saw them in the Target walking around with no mask on? Puff said, I want E to come. I bought a Buck Fighting hat to blend in. Fuck Biden. I got that. I was like, Buck Fighting. Oh, fuck Biden. YouTube. Yo, Shaman, I like you. You think on your feet. Don't stream napalm. Oh my God. I needed both them laughs just now. Yeah. Shaman, I'll tell you that. They'll be your best friend if they think you're a Trump supporter. It's so sad. Like I can't even call myself an independent. I'm a nothing supporter, cause an independent ain't never won.
All right, so here's the description of Jesus in the Bible. Revelations chapter 1, verse 14. His head and hair. So listen to what it says now. This, because I always keep telling myself I'm gonna paint the Jesus out the Bible. I'm gonna paint exactly word for word what it says. Every word in this description of Jesus, because everybody thinks it says something and it really doesn't. Verse 14, his head and his hair. Not just his hair. What is your head? That's your face, and everything is this is your fucking head.
Mm-hmm.
His head in his hair.
And the terminology was different back then too. So.
But I want to go exactly word for word. His head and hair were white like wool.
Old, thick hair.
As white as snow. And his eyes like a flame of fire. His whole fucking head is white. And his eyes are fucking flaming red. That don't look like no black or white person to me. It sounds like a demon.
Devil.
Or a fucking ghost or some crazy ass shit. Listen to this shit now. Oh, it was a black man. That's not what it says. His eyes were aflame like fire. His feet were like fine brass, as if refined in a furnace, and his voice as the sound of many waters. What does oceans sound like if you just stand by the ocean and just listen to the water lapping the sand and shit? It ain't even no fucking words. He had in his right hand 7 stars.
Still sleepy.
Where's the... I'm looking in the wrong chapter, yo. The description of Jesus is one of my favorite things out the Bible, and then there's another thing that's described in there. Okay, looking in the wrong chapter.
You just got it.
Hold on. Let me try to find this real quick. Job. Damn, what chapter did you just say? Yeah. That's what it is. Job. I'll let you read this because this is so good right here. And then after this.
You want to let me read it?
Well, there's two different descriptions. This the second one is really good to me. Job 41. Just read a little bit of that, and then you can ask anybody like, so what about that part?
What kind of name is this?
Leviathan.
Leviathan? Yo, I think I know somebody with that name too. What kind of name is that?
Yo,
Bible names.
yo.
Okay.
That shit was in
Like I haven't read the Bible since I was a kid, but like
Yeah.
I know like Mary, Jesus, Joseph, Mary Magdalene.
Yo,
Like
the first time I've ever heard Leviathan was actually in a video game, yo.
this just remind me of that episode of Key and Peele when he was like Aaron. Leviathan? Leviathan? Hey. Yeah, I'm hiding from the camera today. I'm still half asleep. Okay. Can you draw out Leviathan with the hook, or snare his tongue with the line which you lower? Can you put a reed through his nose, or pierce his jaw with the hook? Will he make many supplications to you? Will he speak softly to you? Will he make a covenant with you? Will you take him as a servant forever? Will you play with him as with the bird, or will you leash him for your maidens? Will your companions make a banquet of him? Ooh, what the hell? Will they apportion him among the merchants? Can you fill his skin with harpoons, or his head with fishing spears? Lay your hand on him. Remember the battle. Never do it again. Indeed, any hope of overcoming him is false. Shall one not be overwhelmed at the sight of him? No one is so fierce that he would dare stir him up. Who then is able to stand against me? Who has preceded me that I should pay him? Everything under heaven is mine.
Keep going.
Oh, okay. I'm just stuck. Like, oh my God. That was enough for me to be like, ooh,
I'm about to
God.
get to the real details now.
Ooh.
So first, he asking like, who can snare this motherfucker? Can you get him with a harpoon? Can you get him with a hook? Can you play with him like a bird? And if he's mine, then who gonna fuck with me? I keep going.
Everything under heaven is mine. That's the part that got me. I'm dead. All right, so let me continue. I will not conceal his limbs, his mighty power, or his graceful proportions. Who can remove his outer coat? Who can approach him with a double bridle? Who can open the doors of his face with his terrible teeth all around? His rows of scales are his pride, shut up tightly as with a seal. One is so near another that no air can come between them. They are joined one to another. They stick together and cannot be parted. His sneezing flash forth light, and his eyes are like the eyelids of the morning. Out of his mouth go burning lights. Sparks of fire shoot out. Smoke goes out of his nostrils, as from a boiling pot, and burning rushes. His breath kindles coals, and a flame goes out of his mouth. Strength dwells in his neck, and sorrow dances before him.
Alright. So now, this motherfucker, if you trying to snare something
Wait. Hold on, right? The folds of his flesh and joined together, they are firm on him and cannot be moved.
Can't be moved, yo. Can't be pierced. Can't be snared. So this motherfucker got scales that are so tight one to the other that even air can't get through. And apparently, if you got to get a hook or a fishing spear, this bitch is in the water. And it got sharp teeth round about, and it has smoke coming out his nose and fire coming out. Is this a fire-breathing water dragon called Leviathan? Wait a minute. Did the Bible just say it got a fire-breathing water dragon? But nobody want to talk about that in the Bible, and then wonder why I can't believe half of this shit. But
it's hard as stone.
Yeah, it's right there though. It's right there in the Bible. A fire breathing water dragon.
It just sounds so funny when you just said it. A fire breathing water dragon
with scales, and then you tell them to really read the description of Jesus. Now, and what if you see Jesus riding on that?
Bronze. They talk about bronze so much, and bronze as rotten wood. He regards iron as straw.
That means like nothing can like if you throw a bronze spear at him, he's like that shit like rotten wood. You throw iron at him, that shit like straw, nigga. That shit ain't piercing his fucking scales.
Undersides are like sharp potsherds. His spreads pointed marks in the mire. He makes the deep boil like a pot. He makes the sea like a pot of ointment. He leaves a shining wake behind him. One would think the deep had white hair. On earth there is nothing like him, which is made without fear. He beholds every high thing. He is a king. He is a king over all the children of pride.
Now, in the chapter before that, in chapter 40, they talk about a different animal called let me see.
Oh, just this one right here.
Yeah. What's the name? Let's see. Where is it at? Let me make sure it's in this one.
But can I just say that it's just so eloquent, like the words and like it's just like because I'm a poet, like fuck the Bible, but just the way they, like, the way they, I don't know, it's just eloquent. I can't say I like what they're doing because I was about to say, oh, the way they presented it, but not really because that's kind of scary. Whoever really wrote this motherfucker and came up with this shit.
Yo, what's the other beast name, yo? It's Leviathan and something else. I don't see it. I thought it was in chapters right before it, yo.
Loki wanted to get a design.
Oh, it was called Behemoth. I don't see it. There it is. In chapter 40, verse 15.
List of serial killers and their signs.
A lot of Geminis are in there.
Yeah, Gemini is the most.
It's like it's ratioed out for, but
there's a couple Pisces because Pisces are emotional.
But I'm just
I got
saying,
a Pisces
that
moon.
Shit don't even make no sense.
Sagittarius. I don't know why there's so many Geminis, but I know like all the female Geminis I know are super cool.
Shit don't even make no sense.
The Gemini males is half and half. I've met ones that I do like and don't like, but the females are cool. All right, chapter 40, right?
Chapter 40,
yeah.
Verse 15.
Okay. Look now at the, what's his name?
Behemoth.
Behemoth. Okay. Look now at the behemoth, which I made along with you. He eats grass like an ox. See now, his strength is in his hips, and his power is in his stomach muscles. He moves his tail like a cedar or setter.
A cedar tree.
You know
how big a cedar tree is?
I was like, what's a setter? Is that an animal or a cedar tree? See, that's what I mean. Like, their comparisons and analogies.
That's what I'm saying, yo. If this animal has a tail like a cedar tree, yo, that shit. Behemoth with you.
Behemoth. Mm-hmm. I made along with you. He eats grass like an ox. See now, his strength is in his hips, and his power is in his stomach muscles. He moves his tail like a cedar. The sinews of his thighs are tightly knit. His bones are like beams of bronze, his ribs like bars of iron. He is the first of the ways of God. Only he who made him can bring near his sword. Surely the mountains yield food for him, and all the beasts of the field play there. I just find that funny because a lot of native people talk about this like beast that lives in the mountains.
And that's the only thing too, like almost every culture has dragons. The Native Americans have dragons, the ancient Chinese have dragons, Africans have dragons, the Europeans and Middle Easterns have, like, maybe there is something to the dragon animal. I mean, even now we have like the Komodo dragon and crocodiles and alligators kinda, or big ass python snakes. I don't know, but you know, I don't know where it originates from, but almost every culture has something about a dragon, yo. And it's weird because some of them do fly, like a lot of them say flying dragons. But the Bible got a water dragon that breathe fire, and some dragons breathe fire, some dragons don't breathe fire, some dragons can swim, some dragons can fly. You know what I'm saying? It's weird, but it's always like very similar, like a large reptile, scaly type animal or something.
Nothing wrong with that. Yaku.
The Steely Plus.
And just the snare and the iron and the brass
And then before that, they described like some kind of flying animal, but I'm not really sure what that one is.
So I need to like go back and read this whole thing.
That's what I try to tell you. Once you read the Bible, you can't really believe that shit, yo. The only people who believe the Bible really haven't read the Bible.
Well, okay, let me say this. When I was younger, I had like a broken down kids version of the Bible, and I still had questions about it. And that's when I stopped. Like, I had like a nice, like, I had a Precious Moments Bible that my grandma got me, like a collectible. And I kept it because it's a collectible. They don't probably make them anymore. But, like, I used to go to the Vacation Bible study, and I just never understood. Like, I never fucking understood. I'm like, so this person did that? So why did Jesus have to die? Why didn't God just die for his son? Like, I'm like, my mama would have died for me. Like, and he looking at me like, yo, you asking the wrong questions. But I was inquisitive as a kid, so I'm like, well, why did Jesus have to die? Why couldn't somebody else be the sacrifice? Because God chose his son. Huh? He chose to kill his son.
It's the book of Noah. The children's edition.
This is the children's.
I actually got some
broke down
to me when I used to go to
children's
Sunday school every week. I believed in all this till I was 8.
Ricky Gervais.
St. Agnes Sunday School.
I was right there, like 7, 8 years old.
R-I-double-K-I. Like a fucking mongoose.
Like a fucking mongoose. Hazy, what up, bro?
For regular attendance. Not even for being good at anything, just for turning
That's what's up, yo. I'll watch that.
This is descriptive.
Thank you.
I'll watch that.
I like the poetry.
Let's have a look at the evidence.
Let's have a look at evidence.
Long ago, when God first made the earth, I'll let both those points go, we haven't got time. Right. Long ago, by the way, according to the Bible, is 5,000 years. According to the Old Testament, the earth is no older than 5,000 years old, okay? It's actually 4.6 billion years old. Let's pop that in. Pop that. 4.6 billion years ago, when God first made the earth and sky, all right, don't big it up, it's like, it comes as a package, really, doesn't it? I mean, do you know what I mean? The sky was never an optional extra. It's like, major planet, I can't breathe. Would you like an atmosphere? Of course I fucking would. So, well done, but...
Look at you, Wicked. Get the fuck out of here, Wicked.
Everything beautiful. God made human beings too, and he wanted them to be good like himself. Arrogant. Right. But very soon they went their own way. They would not listen to God. They became wicked and did wicked things. Look at them doing wicked things there. You don't get much more wicked than that, do you? Fuck off. Fuck off, wicked. Really? Fuck off, wicked. Really? God just looking on. Oh, carry on. See what happens. See what happens. Oh, see what happens. Yeah. Oh, see what happens. Bloke there running off with a big bag of money. Don't put it in a bank, you cunt. Right.
You'll get more wicked than
God looked at them and said to himself, they're so wicked, I would have to wipe them off the face of the earth. Really? Really? Straight to genocide. What happened to 1 verbal and 2 written warnings? Straight to the annihilation of the entire human race.
But when you make it logical, it just sounds so fucking funny. Like, come on, guy. Like, really, guy. God damn, bro.
Anger management, man. Just calm the fuck down. Let's talk about this. Wow. I read that to Carl Pilkington, right? Who is, yes. Head like a fucking orange, I know, yeah. And I read that bit to him. They are so wicked, I have to wipe off the face of the earth. And Carl said, he sounds gay. I said, what do you mean? He went, some gays are a bit like that. He thought God was like having a hissy fit. Like, he's like, no, they treat me like a bastard, I'm going to treat them like a bastard, I'm going to show them when I wipe them out. I said, Carl, God is not gay, okay? Read the Bible, he hates them. They are so wicked, I'll have to wipe them off the face of the earth. And every living thing with them. What's the squid ever done? It's gone mad. But he's not gay. God is not gay. But there was one man who was still very good. His name was Noah. He was a friend of God. Just a friend, so don't know. Just a friend. A friend with big hooped earrings. Rouge. What's he do? He lives in a cave. What's he doing with this? What are you doing? Seeing God. You never know. Handlebar moustache. Holding God's hand. Who's wearing a blouse?
Damn.
God is not gay. God said to Noah, I am so angry with men. You mean men and women? Whatever. I am so angry with men that I have made my mind up to destroy them all. I have stretched my bow in the sky, it's a rainbow. That's got to be the world's first pun, hasn't it? It will make so much rain pour down on earth that everything will be drowned, but not you. I want you to build an ark. It must be like a big boat with 3 decks and a roof over it. Yeah, I know how to build a boat, man. Andrew will make a door in the side of it. Do you think I'm a complete idiot? I know. Noah did exactly what God told him. And then God said to her, now, okay, now this is aimed at children, admittedly, but it's taken from the Old Testament story in the Bible, but I don't think the author of this book is a zoologist. As we've said, there could be 5 million species of animal. I don't think he knows them all the way he backs out very quickly in this next sentence, okay? I want you to take 2 of every kind of animal with you into the ark. 2 lions, 2 tigers, 2 elephants, and so on.
And so on.
What? I've got lions, tigers, elephants, so on. On you go. Look after them well and keep them alive. And Noah did what God said. Now I want you to study that scenario. Okay, so God is angry with mankind. He's fed up with them, they're wicked, right? He's going to wipe them out and just start again with Noah and his wife. He's angry with the animals too, for some reason. So he's going to start again with that scenario. Okay, so God is angry with mankind. He's fed up with them, they're wicked, right? He's going to wipe them out and just start again with Noah and his wife.
Yeah,
he's angry with the animals too, for some reason. So he's going to start again with just 2 of each species. No, that's right. 2 of each species. 2, just 2, quick. Just 2. Oh, there's a stampede.
He hosted the Golden Globes.
2 elephants.
Yo, he talked shit.
2 toucans. Just walking.
And he was like, yo, this is the last time I'm just fuck. I don't even fuck about done this shit. I'm saying everything I want to say. But it was last year.
No rush.
The Golden Globes last year. Yeah, he went in on that shit, yeah.
Just strolling, baby.
Matter of fact,
I think this one is a bit more concerned than this one. This one's probably going, should we fly?
He was in
Nah.
one of the Grand Theft Auto games, yeah.
No.
Ooh, look at Tom Hanks.
So which one is it? This one or this?
That one, all of the looks say it all.
Well, you will be pleased to know this is the last time I'm hosting these awards, so I don't care anymore. I'm joking. I never did. NBC clearly don't care either. 5th time. So, I mean, Kevin Hart was fired from the Oscars because of some offensive tweets. Hello? Lucky for me, the Hollywood Foreign Press can barely speak English, and they've no idea what Twitter is. So I got offered this gig by fax. So let's go out with a bang. Let's have a laugh at your expense, shall we? Remember, they're just jokes. We're all going to die soon, and there's no sequel. So, yeah, remember that.
What is Hollywood known
But you all look lovely, all dolled up. You came here in your limos. I came here in a limo tonight, and the license plate was made by Felicity Huffman. So, no, shush. It's her daughter I feel sorry for, okay? That must be the most embarrassing thing that's ever happened to her. And her dad was in Wild Hogs. So, lots of big celebrities here tonight. I mean, legends, icons, yeah? Look, at this table alone, Al Pacino, Robert De Niro, Baby Yoda. Oh, that's Joe Pesci, sorry. I love you, man, don't have me whacked. But tonight isn't just about the people in front, Hammer. In this room are some of the most important TV and film executives in the world. People from every background, but they all have one thing in common. They're all terrified of Ronan Farrow. He's coming for you. He's coming for you. Look, talking of all you perverts, it was a big year. It was a big year for paedophile movies.
Good for him. Or did he snitch out Epstein and he was still involved?
No, I think he got whacked or a little while after this. One of them dudes they said he committed suicide by jumping off a bridge.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, that dude, the lawyer?
No, he wasn't a lawyer. He was.
But you remember that too? He was like, oh no, he was in. No, he was the director. You remember that guy? And they said he jumped from like.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Cause my shit's starting to come out, yo, and he's calling these names too. Like, don't worry, cause that motherfucker coming for you too. You gonna expose everybody. Nobody ain't laughing.
They're all terrified of Ronan Farrow. He's coming for you. He's coming for you. Look, talking of all you perverts, it was a big year. It was a big year for paedophile movies. Surviving R. Kelly, Leaving Neverland, Two Popes. Shut up. Shut up. I don't care. I don't care. Many talented people of colour were snubbed in major categories. Unfortunately, there's nothing we can do about that. The Hollywood Foreign Press are all very, very racist. So, 5th time. So, we were going to do an in memoriam this year, but when I saw the list of people that had died, it wasn't diverse enough. It just, no. It was mostly white people, and I thought, nah, not on my watch. Maybe next year. Let's see what happens. No one cares about movies anymore. No one goes to the cinema. No one really watches network TV. Everyone's watching Netflix. This show should just be me coming out going, well done Netflix, you win everything, good night. But no, we've got to drag it out for 3 hours. You could binge watch the entire first season of Afterlife instead of watching this show. That's a show of a man who wants to kill himself because his wife dies of cancer, and it's still more fun than this, okay? Spoiler alert, season 2 is away, so in the end he obviously didn't kill himself, just like Jeffrey Epstein. Shut up! I know he's your friend, but I don't care. You like to make your own way here in your own plane, didn't you? Right, but seriously, most films are awful, lazy, remakes, sequels. I've heard a rumour there might be a sequel to Sophie's Choice. I mean, that'd just be Meryl Streep going, well, it's got to be this one then. All the best actors have jumped to Netflix and HBO, you know, and the actors who just do Hollywood movies now do fantasy venture nonsense. They wear masks and capes and really tight costumes. Their job isn't acting anymore, it's going to the gym twice a day and taking steroids, really. Have we got Have we got an award for most ripped junkie? No. No point. We know he'd win that. Martin Scorsese, the greatest living director, made news for his controversial comments about the Marvel franchise. He said they're not real cinema and they remind him of theme parks. I agree. Although I don't know what he's doing hanging around theme parks. He's not big enough to go on the rides, is he? It's tiny. Right.
Every fucking thing, yo. Like, there's nothing good, yo. Talk shit about pedophiles.
It was so awkward for them.
I know Epstein's your friend, just, so what? I have Flicks next. What the?
Flicks next? I don't know if that's sarcasm or nothing.
Yeah, because you download some other crazy apps and get everything. I don't know, I am kind of hungry now.
Yeah. I was thinking waffles at first, chicken and waffles, then I started thinking about pancakes.
It don't matter to me.
If we wanted to order something, but I just can't nobody make breakfast right. They don't make nothing right.
I swear, yo. And we do have a IHOP, and it's not the greatest. We have a Denny's, and that shit is just like,
I'm not going to. I would never even try that Denny's, but that Friendly's was nasty.
Friendly's isn't hitting.
Chick-fil-A is closed on Sunday. I don't like their breakfast anyway. But yeah, I'm just thinking it sounds like I need to just go cook because I don't know where we're gonna get some good breakfast from.
Next,
Waffle House.
why do we make our pillow the shape of a cube?
I'll
tell you.
Before
The problem with pillows is that you're trying to fit a round egg into a square hole.
Yeah, bro. The Waffle House, a northern Waffle House is definitely not the same as a southern Waffle House, bro.
Right, and even like the ones in Maryland, like the one by my mama's house, it's cool. I don't eat them when I was drunk, but like,
here we go again. Sony have revealed the free games subscribers will receive for the month of May 2021. You'll be able to download these games from the first Tuesday of the month, which is May the 4th, aka Star Wars Day. So we're ready? I'm ready. Let's crack on. Game number 1 is Battlefield 5, the first-person shooter which divided fans. That's because Battlefield is renowned for ultra-realistic sandbox warfare, but this entry is more akin to the arcade-style battles usually found in Call of Duty. So right away, if you're a Call of Duty fan, this may be a good fit for you. Battlefield 5 is set during World War II, and all the weapons and vehicles historically match up to the time period. The campaign is a great experience as we relive the personal stories of many combatants, some of which are genuinely thought-provoking and deal with the toll that war takes, and others just let you shoot evil soldiers. The multiplayer remains the real focus of Battlefield, with both boots on the ground and in-air combat everywhere you look. If you played back in 2018, you should know that the game is in a far better state right now. Game modes have been added, and the staples of Battlefield, like tagging enemy soldiers, have been brought back in quickly after launch. More recently, Battlefield attempted a battle royale, in which flames of death circle an ever-closing battlement. With a new Battlefield rumoured to be revealing later this month, it's a good time to see if the shooting mechanics are your jam. Reviews say Battlefield 5 is about a 7 out of 10 game. Game number 2 over on the PS5. It's Wreckfest, a destruction derby smash-a-thon. The races are cutthroat, with every collision affecting the car differently. Sometimes rolling over the line is moments before the car is officially
I don't think I'll download either one of those games. Battlefield 5? Do I have Battlefield 5? I think I may already have Battlefield 5 in Wreckfest. Some kind of racing game. Damn, yeah.
We fake bougie. We ain't real bougie, but like, we eat bougie and food bougie. I'm not designer bougie, but
yeah, when it comes to food, man, like I say, because we know how to cook, and then we know other good cooks. Like I say, that's the point in just wasting
your uncle
money.
Can cook and my mama can cook, so I'm just like,
Let me I gotta wash this brush out real quick. I'll be right back.
and lawnmowers, if that's the kind of thing you want. The PS5 version has all the improvements you'd expect, like quicker load times and shinier graphics. And remember, this is only for PS5 gamers, so if you don't have one just yet, remember to use the app to add it to your library if you plan on grabbing one in the future. Hopefully they'll be available soon. The single-player campaign is the main focus, in which we build up an arsenal of bangers, but there's also multiplayer to ruin the rides of other real-life players too. Do you reckon you'll try it? And finally, back to the PS4, and a game I've never heard of, Stranded Deep. Ever seen the movie Castaway, in which a guy is marooned on a desert island? Well, that's pretty much Stranded Deep. Stuck in the middle of the Pacific Ocean after surviving a plane crash, we then explore underwater and on islands and hunt for supplies to craft tools, weapons and shelter. The hope is to find a way back home and escape this tropical hell. So jump on a raft and fight a great white shark, why not? Stranded Deep is sadly a totally solo game. We cannot survive this with our friends. And I also couldn't find a single reliable review. So take this with a pinch of salt. So that's May. It's been 1 year since the worst PS Plus in history, when we received Skyline City Builder and a farming simulator. There's something about May that doesn't live up to expectations. Please sound off in the comments below and give us your rating. I'm going to call this 4 out of 10. Is that too harsh? What say you?
I don't know, man. So, what do we have? They said it's gonna be a racing game in Battlefield 5. I got Battlefield. I bought Battlefield 1, and then Battlefield 5 came out after that. I don't know. I probably just played the demo for Battlefield 5. And not actually the whole game. But hey, if they give it to me for free, I'll download that shit and play it. I need something to play. Well, I've been playing, cause I did pay for, oh well. I might be able to use some of these on the underpainting, maybe. Let's see if I can save some of this paint. Oh yeah, the rig looks crazy, bro. Alright, so we're gonna start the underpainting. So I need not this one. Alright.
Are you looking for a Facebook ad course? Pay it.
Should just bring the bong up there. start out with blue, since there's so much blue on this canvas. Just get some Prussian blue and probably some Prussian and cobalt blue, and really just try to fill in the background a little bit. And like I said, it's a very simple color. There's gonna be a lot of blue and black going on in here. But we're about to work on this for a little while. You know what I'm saying? And get this new art started. Oh my god. Hope everybody having I guess Sunday. I don't know why the fuck my eyes so itchy. I meant to bring the bong up here, yo. So I ain't gotta roll up no more. Let me grab that real quick. I'll be right back, guys.
What this does is to prove once again how powerful that symbol of the pyramid actually is.
It's
Yes, you. Why aren't you the landlord? Every day you go to and from work and you look up and you see apartment buildings, self-storage facilities, office buildings, shopping centers, and I bet at times what's going through your mind is, what would it be like if I owned that commercial property? What would the cash flow be? How could it speed up my retirement? Or perhaps you're wondering, I wish I could understand how to buy that commercial property. You know the one, the one where you're working and you see the landlord every day and he's just an average person. How did he do that? How can I be like him? Well, what's stopping you? Well, if what's stopping you is you need a place to begin, I have a solution. It's right here in my new book, Commercial Real Estate for Beginners.
Big banks are lying to you. They don't want you to know that you can now get a PPP loan in as little as 60 seconds. And I'm going to teach you how you can do it in this quick 2-minute video. I'm Matt Smith from Milwaukee, and I'm a DoorDash driver. I deliver groceries, and I still was approved for over a $20,000 PPP loan. You see, banks got caught red-handed during when this PPP program was announced last year. They only give out these loans to these big businesses, and they got fat checks. The rules have changed. It's now round 2, and little guys like you and me, maybe you're a hairstylist, maybe you're an Uber driver, you deliver groceries, it doesn't matter. All you have to be is a 1099 contractor and a free...
Occasions, but I think it bears repeating, and that is the issue of the function of education. Because often I think we confuse, and when I speak of we and speak of us as Africans, and this includes those of us who are so-called African Americans and Africans from other parts of the world. We often confuse education with what is given by colleges and what is given by universities, and we confuse good education with what is given by certain colleges and universities. So we see schools, say like Harvard and Yale, or this one, others as giving us a sound education or good education. And we're used to measuring education in terms of admissions requirements and things of this type, or the kinds of jobs students are permitted to get after they graduate, the kinds of facilities the schools offer, and in the type of faculty they may have. There are various kinds of criteria we use, so-called accreditation, and all of these things as a basis for determining what a good education is. And while these elements may be part of a good education, they are certainly not the sum total of a so-called good education. We have to recognize that every culture educates its youth, no matter how so-called primitive, or no matter in what kind of so-called level of political, social, economic, technological development. Prepares its children to assume the necessary roles to maintain that culture, to maintain the survival of that culture, and to advance the interests of that culture. So whether it is teaching someone to shoot a bow and arrow, or to hunt, or to plant seed in the ground, or to take care of some very routine kind of chores, all the way up to the kind of preparation you're getting today, you're still engaged in what we call education. It is very, very important that we, as African people of African descent, keep in mind that the ultimate function of education is to advance the interests of a people, of a culture, to protect that interest, ultimately to protect the very biological survival of a people, and improve their quality of life. This is the ultimate criterion against which education must be measured. it should not be measured in terms of the school you go to, but in terms of ultimately to what degree is it going to help to maintain my group, advance my group, protect the integrity of my group, not in terms of the courses offered or the kinds of teachers that are there. And you have to always then ask that question, in what way is this education ultimate? So the first function of education is not just to get your jobs. You see, because many of us kind of think that way, you know, we figure that we're going, and we're often told that and motivated in those terms by our parents and other people. Go to college so you can get a job, get a good job, go to college so you can raise your status, go to college, you know, so you can somehow make yourself outstanding in some form of fashion. And too often then we see college as this place where we either maintain our class status or advance our class status, and where we then pursue our own personal interests and ultimately forget then about group interests. College is certainly a place for people to prepare for jobs, obviously, but we recognize, though, that is a secondary function, essentially, of colleges and of education in general. The jobs that people are prepared for or prepared to hold are the jobs that are necessary to maintain the culture that they live in. And even the primitive society has roles and often is stratified